welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, the food stamp chaos. Politics, a little white lies, and supremacist controls the agenda or agendas that are going on in this. Yes. Oh, there is tremendous agendaized, politicized game plan going on, mental manipulation tactics. And the thing about it is, today is October 31st, 2025, which is supposed to be one more day or so before what is supposed to be known about if however tens of millions of personnel that's supposed to be on food stamps are going to get their food stamps or they're not. Well, the thing about it is, I'm going to show a few videos, but at the same time, I want to talk about some of this quick initially, what is overall not talked about, or should I say enough. Besides what you see on this image in the front, many people don't even know anything about, in general, where in the history did the food stamp program come from, right? See, this supremacist knows that basically there are tens of millions that have no clue about the power of history. This is why it's not that difficult to fool millions of people in different type of topics. Like when someone says criminality, and the first thing you think about is something about Black Americans, or especially Black males. Even though Black males don't commit the most criminality, even though Black Americans do not commit the most crimes, right? But the system knows that they have programmed tens of millions of people, right, to sit there and think one type of way, right? So in this situation right here, this is some of the original type of food stamp of how they looked. They were basically about an orange, and they also used a type of blue one. But some of the original history of the food stamp program happened in the late 1930s, a little bit after the Great Depression. By the way, which is the 1930s. By the way, what was going on in the 1930s in demographics? The main three cultures were what we call white, whatever that's supposed to mean, because you got some other people that slid under the white banner, but they'll play in and out. There are minorities on the side. That's a whole different topic in itself. You have Black Americans, right? And you have what we call Native Indians, whatever that's supposed to mean, because you had some people that paid $5 or half a dollar, wherever it is, and to be put on certain type of roles and call themselves Native Indians. We're talking about the ones this applies to, right? Those are the three main cultures in the depression of late 20s, 1930s. All these other various cultures and backgrounds didn't even exist like that. But now, in this 21st century, right, you got all these various cultures and backgrounds and etc. And how many have benefited off of Black pain, right? Quite a number have the nerve to try to talk about Black Americans. The nerve. When the original in history in America, when the food stamp program came in late 1930s, that was for numbers of personnel within the predominant culture. One of the first type personnel, their name was, I think it was Mabel Figgins or McFiggins or something to that issue, right? So that was one of the first type people was Mabel. Mabel Figgins or something to that effect. But at the same time, you hear some people that also said it might be someone by the name of Ralston Thayer. So it's either a Caucasian female named Mabel McFiggin or Figgin, or it was a Caucasian male named Ralston Thayer, right? But originally it said that Mabel McFiggin or Figgin was one of the initial personnel that was given the orange food stamps to. And then whatever the switchery around, whatever it is, some of the first personnel that went into the store to purchase items was Ralston Thayer, the white male. But regardless, it wasn't blacks. Because what was going on in the late 1930s? Formal segregation of American blacks. Not because, oh, well, just call yourself African. Right. When you have certain various types of Africans don't even like calling themselves Africans. And Africa is a continent, people, right? Made up of hundreds of languages, however uncalculable numbers of hundreds and hundreds of tribes, right? Various cultures and backgrounds going over to Africa, grabbing up resources in however situations. You get the point, right? There was basically late 1930s, there was no such thing as some various Caribbean personnel. Well, from the Caribbean islands, there was no such thing like that. But how many personnel now? I'm not talking about some of the good ones, because those are small, because the system won't allow a gigantic amount of personnel from certain parts of Africa and certain parts of Africa and certain parts of the Caribbean to come over to America and sit there and have a friendship with Black Americans. Oh, no. They ain't gonna be allowed to do that. Which, by the way, how many numbers of African personnel, by the way, on food stamps in America? Oh, they don't talk about that. How many numbers of Caribbean personnel, the ones applies to, or on food stamps in America? How many numbers we call Native Americans are on food stamps in America? Huh? How many numbers of immigration personnel on food stamps in America? And here's the thing about that's also not talked about enough either. What about the border breaking illegal immigrant type personnel that on food stamps? Oh, they don't want to talk about that. Yes. Yeah, they don't want to talk about that. They don't talk about that. And that is a major conversation they still didn't really bring up. What about the millions of border break illegal immigrants in America, right? Especially the border break illegal immigrant women. How many of them get food stamps, people? Yes. A lot of people don't talk about that. What, do you think they just come across the border just for the heck of it? They come from freebie resources. And then what happens then? How many have several babies and automatic citizenship? Bam! Off the 14th Amendment Constitution, right? That was supposed to be specifically for Black Americans. See how this game goes. Various people in backgrounds, pseudo, illegal, etc., benefit off of Black folks, Black Americans, right? But Black Americans better not go to other countries and break immigration laws, and they better not go to other countries to try to get up any kind of resources. Now, there is no collective comparison to the freebie resources that so many people get when they flee other different countries and places that they get in America, with very few exceptions of places. See how that game goes, right? Let me sit there and share my screen. Oh, before I go into my share the screen, look at this also image. The most EBT recipient are whom? Personnel within the Panamanian culture, especially a variety of women from within the Panama-based culture. And notice how, for the people who know, again, for people who see this down the road, 2 months from now, 5 months from now, a year, 5 years from now, however it goes, when this situation might be popped up every so often, somebody looks back and see, oh, the situation about this food stamp situation that was going on in late October and no one really knew supremacists knew what was going to happen. If tens of millions of people were going to not get their food stamps on the first, right? But all these years, who have been the main people that they made sure to project, main media tried to project or try to project, especially prior to November the 1st, of who was the main welfare people, main food stamp people. It wasn't the image that you saw on this screen. It was almost like it was like a kind of inside haha situation, right? We're not going to show people who are the main recipients of food stamps the image on the front of the screen, and quite a number of males within the polyamorous culture are food stamp recipients. But you got people who want to act like, oh my goodness, black males are lazy. But the majority of black males are doing constructive things. Quite a number of black males sitting there have businesses. Quite a number of black males have went to college or in college. The majority of black males are very involved in their kids' lives. You see this game, right? People keep playing. Black American males are the most involved than any other male in the country. Just because you have two parents in a household does not mean that they're getting love. Doesn't mean anything. You prefer to have a two-parent household, but the situation, the system has made it seem like that just because you have a two-parent household and you just be quiet, and that means that the kid grows up and that'd be okay. Please look at the mass shootings that's going on by predominant-based culture of personnel. How many of them come from a two-parent home? So we're not going to do that out of context, right? How many border break illegal immigrants, right? Where these kids are used as pawns and they come from a two-parent household, right? But that border break illegal immigrant woman, she goes to the food stamp office, tells them that nope, she don't have any kind of mail in her household. See how that game goes, right? She goes get automatic food stamps, collectively, should I say. She speaks no English, right? Because for the people who don't know, you don't have to even be a citizen to receive food stamps. You don't have to be a citizen to receive food stamps. So you got to know these border break illegal immigrant women and certain types of males, but specifically more or less border break illegal immigrant women, they have a couple of kids right beside them using as pawns. They go to that food stamp office. Hey, you speak Espanol? No, they get an interpreter unless they have some people that know Spanish. That's why they put in more Hispanic people in the office, which is a whole different topic. I don't want that's a whole different topic in itself, right? And the thing about it is that's a whole game, right? Because they're wanting to put more Hispanicism in various positions and then play black on brown game with millions of American blacks. That's a whole different game in itself, right? Let me sit there and share my screen. So let me try to go ahead and rock and roll a little bit. I've done numbers of videos on some things related to what I'm talking about, relating to these border break illegal immigrants and these little games that they're playing as well, like this right here. Look at this. Make sure you can see it. Make sure that mute is off. Okay. Organizers claim there are nearly 15,000 migrants or pseudo border breakers that was heading in a caravan to El Norte to America. Thousands of caravan migrants, border breakers, pseudo immigrants that was come to El Norte, giggle heading to El Norte again for freebies. I did this on my show, The Real CP Show, right? On this situation. The game, and this was a few years ago when I did this one. Hold on, let's see. Hold on, give me a second. Let me do that. Hold on. Let me exit out that. This was, how long was this ago? About a couple of years ago, right? This is about a couple of years ago I did this show on this one. See how that game goes? And how many other caravans have been going ever since then? How many of those border break illegal immigrants that became border break illegal immigrants are pseudo border break illegal immigrants, and they just regurgitate the same thing, right? We're going to escape political violence. But from who? People that look like them. Do you understand that? Or we just trying to come over to America to get jobs? That is not a reason for asylum. This had nothing to do with economics. You see how that game goes, right? And how many of those border break illegal immigrant women, again, ain't starting over those males, right? Get food stamps. And that is a gigantic topic that is not talked about enough. that quite a number of border break illegal immigrants, especially women, are going on food stamps every day and getting free interpretation and getting food stamps, people, because they don't have to be citizens or even in a legal status to get food stamps. Oh, see, again, we don't really want to talk about that topic, right? On that. Oh, let me stop and share my screen on that. Or again, we don't want to sit there and showcase the ones who continuously get the most food stamps, which are numbers of women within the Panamanian culture and certain types of males within the Panamanian culture, and definitely how many immigration personnel. Oh, they know are there. Oh, there's some sneaky ones. How many of them on programs that they fled from their various countries and come to America, and they're giving free resources to sit there and open up some businesses? Giving free driver's license, however, other work permits and stuff like that. And people play little political games. Oh, well, these numbers of American citizens don't want those jobs. Go to with those kind of situations. The agricultural jobs, please, they're drying up more and more. That's going toward robotics. So we can't play that game because that's one of the main type of little silly games people try to play. Who was doing those jobs before border break illegal immigrants? Oh, and by a pseudo border break illegal immigrants, right? And by the way, how many of them are getting food stamps? Oh, a lot of people don't know that. Yes, how many of them those wink, wink jobs that American citizens want to do? Please. How many of them are getting food? How many of those women are getting food stamps? How many some of those males most of them are going to be those border break illegal immigrant women and pseudo border break illegal immigrant women that's getting those food stamps. But again, we don't want to talk about that, right? Let me share my screen. These are other type of games. I get tired of these kind of games where they keep playing these little same silly tactics. And again, this chaos that's going on. Hold on, give me a second. This chaos that's going on that is agendaized on purpose. Where's my other one? Okay, here's the other one. This is another one. Another podcast I did on that. On the Real CP show. Let me make sure you can see this. Okay. 11 million illegal immigration personnel, little white lies, basically switchery. Shh. When did I do this particular show? About 3 years ago. See these games and how many of them, because this is a game in itself, people. They keep trying to tell numbers of people in society, especially they keep trying to tell American blacks too, collectively. There's only about 11 million. As if 11 million is small. And it's been 10.5, 11 million for the last close to 10 years, 12, 14 some years. They're using the same old tired thing. And you got a minimum of about a million, people, of border breakers that come across that border illegally. Minimum. And that don't even really even count how many are not caught. So then you put another, 2 times, 3 times as many that are not caught over a year, and they're getting however number of those women getting food stamps. Yes. And some of those are elder women, some of them, and how many of them have been told, well, this is how you can also get a type of Social Security. Oh, see, people don't talk about that either. And how many of these border break illegal immigrants and pseudo border break illegal immigrants, they pile on inside a house or apartment or wherever it is, and they multiply those food stamps together. They do not like people seeing these kind of tactics. And you add in some of these immigration type personnel who also, numbers of them staying multi-families in a home or an apartment. And how many of them have gotten taxpayer subsidies for those kind of things? Oh, they don't want to talk about that. And how many of them get food stamps? And have a nerve to talk down upon American blacks. Go to. So the thing about it is 11 million illegal immigrant personnel is a lie. Look at this. They're just on top of this particular fence, just coming over, having fun, doing their thing, laughing, getting freebies. But again, this is another, show I did. 11 million minimum. And it's more than that. But I want to sit there and show you that. These games are unfunny how they keep playing these little games. Well, it's 11 million, 11.5, maybe 10.5. And I'm like looking at it like this. Man, if you don't stop with those stupid tactics, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen on this. So let me go ahead and get to some videos I want to sit there and show. That I want to sit there and show on that, relating to some of these food stamp type of videos that on some of these media type places, and put these things in some perspective as well. Okay, let me start with this one first. Now, look at this. Oh, hold on, wait a second. Hold on. Let me do some here. Okay, yeah, it's more better here. Okay. Now, as you see, it says let me make sure you can see this. Make sure my mute is off. Okay, good. My mute is off. Now, 5.5 million, according to this news thing here, California could go without SNAP benefits. You got to watch these tactics. Within various parts of California, its headquarters 1.0 for numbers of border breaker illegal immigrant type people. Right, it's ground zero. Since the borders cross the southern border right by California. So how many border breaker illegal immigrants are in California, especially numbers of those women that are sitting there getting food stamps? And how many of them also, by the way, of getting free pregnancy care, neonatal care, right? Free Medicaid for the border breaker illegal immigrant pseudo pawn kids that they sit there and use. So she comes across that border with 2-3 kids. I'm giving an example. She pops out several other kids, or pops out 1 or 2 other ones. Doesn't matter. Say she's averaging 3 or 4 of those border breaker illegal immigrants. I said averaging, right? All those kids are sitting there food stamps. So the little pawns that she brought over across that border, they're getting food stamps. When she goes into the food stamp office, right? She speaks no English. They get interpretation. She walks out there with a food stamp card or whatever it is, or not shortly after, she gets food stamps. She's laughing because she knows Black Americans sure can't go across that damn border and soak up resources free. It ain't just one culture, by the way. Oh, it's quite a number of cultures that come from different places. Be it various places in Africa, be it various places in the Caribbean, be it various places in Europe. The list goes on. Various places in Asia. Don't get it confused. And there's numbers of them that get food stamps. And unfortunately, quite a number of them, they laugh at Black Americans. Because they said those Negroes are naive. Because they know it's only a small amount of Black Americans that see through these tactics. Just like with the food stamp situation. They know it's only a small amount of Black Americans that'll not get emotionalism into this. They sit there and say, no, we look at the reality picture. Because if this was collectively about Black American women getting food stamps, they would be like, various parts of the population would be like, oh my goodness, look at the Black American women. They are welfare queens. Oh, people know what I'm talking about. They always ask for handouts. Why don't they just work? But since it's affecting tens of millions of various women and various types of males, because by the way, collectively, it's going to be women that are benefiting off food stamps. And how many of them are losing their damn mind, right? How many of them getting several $100s of food stamps free? How many of them getting determined by where it is $800, $900. How many of them getting $1,000, $1,200, $1,400, depending on how many kids and whatever else. And then you mix in however numbers of personnel that got multi people in the household. Oh man, you see the game on this, right? But then since it's not just a majority of black women that need food stamp, and these various other women and some other immigration males, and you got some pseudo border breaker immigration males, you got other people, immigrationists that are getting food stamps, stuff like that on programs and different things like that. Now it's about humanity. You see how this disgusting game goes, right? So let me go ahead and play this particular video.
The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It helps people in need buy groceries. The Trump administration's Department of Agriculture says there will be no money to pay for the program as long as the government shutdown continues. Our Ali Rasmus live in studio. To Ali, explain how local governments and organizations are responding to this.
Well, in blunt language, the U.S. Department of Agriculture put it this way, quote, "The well has run dry," meaning the Trump administration will not be funding the SNAP food assistance program used by 42 million Americans as the government shutdown and
that part. You heard that part. 42 million Americans. Bull! It ain't 42 million Americans. Oh, let me phrase that. That's pseudo terminology. She's not talking about the immigrationists, non-American citizens. She's not talking about the border breaking illegal immigrants that are getting food stamps. And I can't stand when people sit there, they knowingly telling lies, or they telling little white lies, or they that freaking ignorant. Take whatever choices in that. You see the game of this, right?
enters its second month this weekend. The SNAP program is also known as CalFresh here in California. The program's operated by local governments, but the bulk of the money for it comes from the federal government. Nearly 40% of the people who depend on SNAP food assistance are children. Another 20% are seniors.
Hear that part again? Oh my goodness, 40% of the kids. Which kids? In this situation, California, they're going to be primarily non-black because California is only but a few percentages of black Americans down in California, people. In that big old freaking state of California, right? It's only a few percentage in single digits. I mean, low percentage of single digits of black Americans in California. Because California, various places have been designated for more immigration, for more Hispanicism, for more certain sections of Asianism, right? And how many people are double teaming against black Americans? I'm talking the ones applies to that were trying to double team or triple team or quadruple team on black Americans, trying to push them out of various neighborhoods. They trying to get themselves in certain type of political places, city councils, right? Mayors. You get the point, right? Committees of getting resources for various of their people. So this little disgusting tactic goes. And they know quite a number of multi-million American blacks, with very few exceptions, that don't sit there and know the game that's going on. Right? Talking about, oh my goodness, 40-some% of the food stamps, the SNAP programs for the kids. Bull crap. It ain't collected black Americans. Kids that are receiving that. These are more toward numbers of women within the predominant culture, numbers of women, border break illegal immigrants, certain types of males and immigrationists, certain type of women and immigrationists. You get the point. They're sitting there relating to the kids, what I'm saying. Of the various backgrounds in California, many of those kids are from different immigration backgrounds. Number of those kids from border break illegal immigrants. Right? Pseudo border break illegal immigrants, right? But you see, they're not talking about that. See the game, people.
These are seniors who built their lives here before this region became known as Silicon Valley and tech innovation. These are the children of the people who clean our homes and offices.
Boy, I can't stand when people sit there and they know they lying. And this is what's so irritating to me, that there are millions of American blacks that will listen to this bullshit that come with this kind of personnel's mouth. Not just them, but ones that have a similar silly mouth. You see how they try to put an emotionary illogical spin on it. Well, the elders, which elders? How many of them are immigration older elders that are getting Social Security? How many of them are getting food stamps? You see how this game goes. How many of those type of women are Caucasian women in California that's getting food stamps? Huh? You see how this game? How many certain types of males in Caucasian background in California that are getting food stamps?
These are the veterans who live in affordable housing that this county and nonprofits built nearby.
Again, they're not talking about border break illegal immigrants that's getting these gigantic amount of food stamps. Huh? Getting free Medicaid for their kids, their border break illegal immigrant pseudo kids they use as pawns. The ones they popped out like caca impulse, right? Bam, automatic citizenship. Now they got 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, whatever it is, on food stamps. These border breakers. You see how this goes? How many immigration type personnel benefit getting these food stamps? Right? That they know damn well that Black Americans can't go over to various countries, just start setting up shop, breaking immigration laws, or just regurgitating, sitting there nonsensical agendas, right? Well, we're just trying to get away from political violence. With all rights, how many Black Americans continue to keep going through violence toward Black Americans by various ones within the Palm-Based culture, by the hatred by various other cultures' backgrounds, right? So Black Americans are going to other countries like that. They have it by all right to sit there and try to get away from this kind of stuff. But Black Americans have built America up. But unfortunately, they know it's not enough Black Americans to say enough of this bull. Most, those people have died off, right? And the ones that's left over now, there are a few Black Americans, yes, they're taught a little bit, but they say it's not enough, right? It's not enough.
Santa Clara County supervisors yesterday spoke. They talked about allocating about $4.5 million in immediate emergency funds to the Second Harvest Food Bank to meet the surge in demand. The CEO of the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano County says hundreds of people have been calling them this week, worried about where their next meal is coming from. The food banks say cash donations are really what they need most right now because their purchasing power allows them to stretch their dollar and maximize the amount of food they
Again, we're not talking about how many border break illegal immigrants are getting food stamps up in those California areas. How many number of personnel are immigration personnel that are getting food stamps up there? How many number of elders up there that are not American citizens that are getting some type of Social Security up there? You see how disgusting games going. And they try to sit there and try to fit a certain dynamic of agenda and playing these little switchery tactics and make it try to act like it's a certain, poor mouth type of personnel that's only getting that. When again, there's border break illegal immigrants getting food stamps every day. But many people don't want to talk about that. Let me stop showing it. I don't want to show that no more. So that's the California part. Let me sit there and share my screen again. We got a few more videos I want to show before I call the podcast. Finish up on this. This is another one. Which one do I want to show next? That was California previously. Let me show which one to show. Okay, let me sit there. And this is Iowa. Now, California predominantly, again, is not going to be Black Americans. It's going to be Caucasians, what we call Caucasians, what we call Hispanicism, whatever that's supposed to mean, because the only thing Hispanicism means is that person else speaks Spanish, but they're talking about collectively Hispanicism, meaning Mexicans and certain like Hondurans and certain type of, you get the point I'm getting at. There's three main cultures within Hispanicism that make up the Hispanicism demographics, right? And there's more than that, but I'm saying there's primarily three main ones, right? Especially within Mexicanism on that. And various Guatemalans and Hondurans. The one this applies to. We ain't talking about Afro ones. Now, there are some ones that, yes, they do get food stamps, but there ain't a lot of them, first of all, in America. Right? So this is in Iowa. Now, hot freaking well. Now, people that know beyond logical sense, right? Especially the ones that know history in America, unfortunately, various parts of immigration personnel have no freaking clue, but they benefit off of what Black Americans have been going through. How many other border break illegal immigrants benefit off Black Americans, have no clue about Black American history? How many numbers of personnel within various parts of Africa have no clue about true Black American culture? How many numbers of various parts of people from various parts of the Caribbean islands have no clue about Black American culture, but benefit off Black American culture? And again, I'm not talking about some small amount within various parts of Africa that came over. They're still a little bit humble and stuff like that from certain parts of Africa, certain parts of the Caribbean. Again, I'm talking about those good brothers and sisters. So go to hell, the ones that try to play a little side track switchery, right? Because collectively, how many fled those places, right? Because they couldn't sit there and get things situated in their own place by people that look like them. Ain't that something? But have the nerve to talk about Black Americans. And again, how many of them own food stamps in America? How many of them have sit there and popped at those kids and get automatic citizenship and they not even citizens themselves? You see how the game goes, right? So in Iowa, gigantically demographics are what? Caucasian. What a minute amount of Black Americans. Demographics in Iowa. So who in the hell is sitting there being the primary people getting food stamps in Iowa? God, label these games.
If the government shutdown continues, thousands of Iowa families could lose help paying for groceries.
If central Iowa food pantries are bracing for the worst, KCCI chief political reporter Amanda Rooker shows us how they are preparing for an unprecedented spike in need. Amanda.
Stacey and Ben, unprecedented is right. Food banks say this is a situation that they've never had to prepare for. Funding for SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps, is set to run out because of the government shutdown, and that would leave tens of thousands of Iowans without the help they rely on to put food on the table.
Now, one thing is tell them, get a job. Since a collective amount of our demographics are Caucasian, where are all the people saying, get a job? Get off your butts, get a job. Oh, where there are some people that are working, but to make low wages, get another job. Stop asking for handouts. My goodness. Do it for self. Don't ask for nothing. But nope. You see how that game goes. And there are some really messed up, fragmented people in certain parts of Panamanian culture that have a freaking, some is neurotic about certain ones within the Panamanian culture and some other people. So they'll sit there and tell Black Americans to do this and do that. Stop complaining. But Black Americans are the least amount of complainers besides the racial racism, hatred that continue to keep happening to Black Americans. I'm not talking about numbers of naive and gullible ones, right? But then the same people who are putting anti-American Black hatred gigantically from ones within various parts of Panamanian culture toward Black Americans, numbers of ones within Panamanian culture are not doing nothing to sit there and stop that. You see how that game goes, right? Someone's very messed up about certain ones within the Panamanian culture. Someone's very neurotic. Like in this food stamp situation. So prior to November the 1st, which right now, as I'm talking, it is November 1st, 2025 now. Now, here's the thing about it. It said 40-some plus million people are supposed to be on food stamps. Again, notice how these various types of main media, and unfortunately, some other personnel as well, they're not looking at the context or looking at above the surface conversation saying, out of 40-some plus million, etc. people on food stamps, how many of them are not citizens? How many of them are border break illegal immigrants? How many of them are immigration personnel? How many of them just fled and popped up in America 2 days ago and went to the food stamp office, numbers of those border break illegal immigrant women or numbers of immigration women, they didn't want over, they came over, or before they even arrived, however people said, just put the paperwork in, or when you get to America, you know, go over here and put the paperwork in for getting food stamps. How many of them? Right? But a lot of people don't want to talk about that part. It's disgusting. The game on this.
The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, helps more than 130,000 Iowa.
Again, where's the conversation? Get a job or get another job. Stop complaining. Stop begging. Stop asking for help. Stop. Do for self. Stop watching TV. Stop talking on the phone. Stop talking to your friends. Well, I really don't do too much like that. Fun. Well, stop complaining regardless. And interesting, protect SNAP, right? So relate to Iowa, because collectively, our demographics are Caucasians. And again, you don't have people telling them to stop complaining. Stop begging for handouts. But if it was Black Americans, primarily the recipients of food stamps and welfare, and there was a government shutdown, and there are tens of millions of Black Americans, especially women, because it is not going to be that many Black American males on food stamps, because you best believe they'd be like, no, Negro, you get out there and get a job. Or something's going on where, okay, you know, I guess, you know, we'll allow a few Negroes to get food stamps because of such and such, but it's such a minute amount of Black American males on food stamps. And how many people tell those Black American males, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all lazy, get a job. Oh, there's some other Black women also that tell Black men be going that kind of, get a job. Why I got food stamps? Some, that's a minute, but they don't tell the same numbers of Black American women that's on food stamps. Wow, won't y'all stop begging too? You don't hear no Sisterhood Chaos telling other Black women, hey, Sisterhood Chaos, sisters on food stamps. Hey, you don't need no food stamps. Let's get out there and work. You don't need to be, getting food stamps from a couple of generations, right? Your mama or your grandma got food stamps. Now, the daughter, she's getting food stamps. Now she got, say, a older daughter. Her daughter's like 18 years old, 19 years old, whatever the minimum amount of age you can get food stamps. Now she's in office getting food stamps. You see how that goes. So, but they don't tell each other, stop being getting food stamps. But tell Black men that they're lazy. Get the out of here with that. I'm telling you, man, it's disgusting, this tactic. But regardless, collectively, the people who are getting food stamps are numbers of women. Right? But what happened to this independence? Feminine, how many fragmented, narcissistic, demonic feminists within various parts of predominant culture of women are sitting there, they ain't feminists when it's concerning getting these food stamps. Have you noticed that? Many of these little Anglo feminist women talking all that old nonsensical demonic conversation about equality, the equality right now with these food stamps. How many of them getting those food stamps? Why they was talking that equality nonsensical mantra, right? As if males are oppressing them. So how the game goes. But how many of those same type of Anglo women are quiet on the racial racism hatred that certain numbers of them have toward Black Americans? There's loads of videos out there showing how many numbers of women within various parts of American culture once applies to showing anti-American Black hatred. Whole different disgusting game in itself that's still not talked about enough. Again, this is November the 1st, 2025. Now, my thing about it is, I'm saying right now, I cannot observe how I'm observing. I do not see how that 40-some plus million people on food stamps, especially border break illegal immigrants, especially numbers of immigration type personnel and how people are on programs, etc., that also are receiving food stamps. There is no way in a astronomical pulsarness that there will be not a few people that are still gonna get some kind of food stamps. Oh, you best believe that they are. It may not be the total of 40-some million, but it has to be somewhat a little bit of something of ones that are still going to get the food stamps. That's basically almost guaranteed. This system is not going to allow every single person on food stamps today, November the 1st, not to receive some kind of food stamp either today or the next few days. Please. There are towns, people in America, certain sections of cities in America where their predominant based cultural demographics are dependent upon food stamps, people. I ain't talking about within Black Americans, by the way, because the majority of people, again, in America who receive food stamps is not Black Americans, people. So go to hell, the ones that try to play that tactic. It is numbers of women within the predominant culture and certain numbers of males within the predominant culture who get the most food stamps, people. How in the hell, out of 50 states and the population of Black Americans, I'm not going to argue 0%. Sometimes it's 14% of the population, 14.5. Some people say it's 15. I'm not arguing over nothing illogical to argue over that. It's not even worth even talking about. The point is that Black American culture demographics are not gigantically jumped up like that because there is more women going towards certain types of term lifestyle categories. There is more types of sensitive cast members that are showing vile hatred toward Black American males. So there's not going to be some gigantic increase in demographics, people, within Black Americanism. So how the hell can Black Americans, women especially, make up the predominant base food stamps when they only make up what 6.5 or maybe 7% plus or minus out of 300 plus million in America? So how the hell can they say? And remember, most of the Black Americans are going to be in mostly various types of southern states, in a small smattering of eastern states, right? A small amount. So how the hell can that small population that's in certain parts of southern cities and certain small sections of the eastern cities, right, make up the majority out of 50 states getting food stamps? Get out of here with that. That's not even beyond logical, but that is also what made me with the demonicism one it applies to. That the big John of control and some other person who know who they are, who have sit there and been showcasing and talking that nonsense for generations and acting like it's Black American, especially Black American women who have been the main predominant recipients of food stamps. See how this disgusting game goes. Now again, since, oh my goodness, Trump, yes, Allah. Now it's about humanity, right? Now, oh my goodness, 40 million some plus people on food stamps. Oh my goodness, it's about humanity. Oh, but prior to that, it was about, oh, well, you know, it's Black American women basically on food stamps, right? And then under the tableness, the conversation is, oh, yeah, we already know that the predominant based people who receive food stamps is numbers of women within the predominant culture, and how many numbers of immigration type personnel receive food stamps, non-Black, and how many numbers of various towns and sections of cities that their predominant population or many parts of the population are dependent upon food stamps. Non-Black. Oh, damn, these games.
Households buy groceries each month. But if the government doesn't reopen, Iowans won't be able to access their benefits starting in November. Local nonprofit groups say this will hit low-income Iowans hard, who will...
So here we go again with that idiotic ass damn game. Oh my goodness, it's gonna hit the low-income people on that. What you call low income in many places around this planet is middle class. As again, they think people are so stupid. They think collective Black American people are stupid to buy these little slick ass games. Low income, oh my goodness. And they really think people keep falling for this kind of stuff. And if the only people that get food stamps is only low income, DS, because we need low income. When they make a certain amount, this amount of money. Oh, well, won't you tell them to get a better job then? Stop begging. Right? How do they sit there and pay their bills then? If they're supposed to be super low income and they're getting food stamps and whatever that minimum threshold, how are they sitting there paying their other bills? People see through the freaking games. And again, how many people multiplying, especially border break or illegal immigrants or certain various types of immigration groups, how many of them multiply in houses and they're getting food stamps and resources and food and welfare? How many? And even the ones who are not multiplying the house, how many of them still fled their country and they still get resources and free housing assistance? It may not be as much at this particular moment, but border break illegal immigrants were getting, especially numbers of women, were getting housing vouchers or apartment vouchers, rent vouchers, etc. Numbers of immigration numbers of women and immigration numbers of males or families, wherever it is, getting sit there vouchers for houses or apartment rent, etc. You get the point. Oh, they don't want nobody to talk about that. Oh, but you couldn't get that stuff in their own countries? Huh? The hell wrong with these people playing these little tactics?
Feel the impact for months to come. Food banks across the state are bracing for what could be an overwhelming surge in need. They say November is already their busiest month, and if Iowans lose their SNAP benefits, they say local donations will not be enough to fill the gap.
For Polk County, it means about 50,000 people who depend on these benefits will not receive them. That's about.
Well, go tell them to find a job. Well, they got someone got a job. Many of them don't. Well, many of them have low-income jobs. Well, find another job. Right? You see how that game goes, right? It's, again, humanity, we got to help humanity when it's various personnel within the Supremacist culture that's been affected like this, right? But when it's the projectionality of trying to act like it's Black Americans, there's, oh my goodness, they need to start complaining of those Black Americans. They always got their hand out. This is sick, man. This makes me nauseated of these little sick ass tactics. It's almost like infantile level. It's almost like, they people pouting their lips. So, oh my goodness. Oh, Trumpism. Oh my goodness. Well, November the 1st or whatever it is after that. I mean, if nothing changes, like in this situation, tens of thousands are Owens. That means basically predominate non-Black, right? Tell them to get a job, another job, do something else. Stop with the handouts. Oh, God.
These benefits will not receive them. That's about 1 in 10 neighbors. Half of those are children or older adults.
Go to hell with that tactic again. Here we go again. The kid. So again, playing the kid's card, right? Tell that mom out there to go get another job, a different kind of job. Well, she's married. Go tell that man to go get another job then, or a different kind of job, right? Stop asking for handouts. Because again, all the demographics is going to be collectively Caucasian. And it got however numbers of immigration personnel up there, and how many numbers of certain section of Hispanicism, and maybe a sprinkling of some Asianists and even lower Black Americans. So that's not even worth even conversation talking about Black Americans. That's a smattering of it. And how much Black Americans smattering get racial racism in various parts of Iowa, just like certain parts of California and other different states, right? That got like a small amount of Black American population. Oh, we don't talk about that, do we? Let me stop that. I don't want to hear this no more. Let me stop that because it makes my stomach crawl. When this patheticism and how they try to act like it's, oh my goodness, it's low income and you know what, people, we got to help. but they never talk about who you talking about, because 40-something million people that are getting food stamps, how many of them, again, are non-Black? How many of them are immigration personnel? How many of them are border break or illegal immigrant personnel? Huh? How many of them have fled from their countries and have told, go to the food stamp office and just regurgitate this, and especially numbers of women. And you don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to be a citizen to get hundreds of dollars of food stamps. No. And you got multiple kids, depending on wherever it is, and you got some other families mixed in their house. Oh, they can get $1,000 easily of food stamps. Non-Black. So the game goes. And again, you see on this image, the predominantly race personnel within America who gets the most food stamps is numbers of women within the predominant culture. But all these years, these generations, it's been projected and showcased that it's supposed to be Black women. These disgusting tactics, right? So let me sit there and share you this particular screen. Which one is this one? Oh, right here. Now this one is Colorado. Small percentage in Colorado is going to be Black Americans. So predominantly it's going to be personnel within the predominant culture, some Hispanicism, some Asianism, right? But again, how many of Colorado's non-Black getting food stamps, and they're not told, get another job, stop, get your hand out. What's wrong with you lazy people, right? Nope.
Well, in less than 24 hours, SNAP benefits for over 600,000 Coloradans will run out because of the government shutdown. It has led to funding freezes that affect millions more across the country. Now, Colorado is stepping in to help. The Joint Budget Committee is approving $10 million from the state's Emergency General Fund to offer more grants for food banks and pantries across our state.
What is happening this weekend is unprecedented. The Colorado Department of Human Services told me they have prepared for similar situations during other shutdowns, but that it was always resolved before any actual delays. Want to give you a closer look at that timeline. When the federal government partially shut down in December of 2018, SNAP benefits for January of 2019, they were delivered on time. That shutdown continued, but then the Department of Agriculture asked states to issue those benefits early so that there wasn't actually a lapse, and then the shutdown ended on January 25th. So while the benefits were delivered, the timing was off, so some people had to deal with a gap of up to 50 days. It's why what is happening tomorrow is so different. I asked the Action Center in Jefferson County about the domino effect we can now expect.
Again, won't they tell the predominant culture demographics in Colorado, which is numbers of personnel with the predominant culture, especially certain types of women that on food stamps in those areas, won't you just stop begging? I mean, my goodness, man, this is America, right? This is a first world country. What is wrong with y'all? Get your hands out your pocket. Work harder. Get a couple of different jobs. Or they say, well, they work this job and they get paid minimum wage. Go find another job. And how many numbers of those women are just at home just collecting food stamps? Huh? How many numbers of personnel in Colorado, immigrationist personnel, that's collecting food stamps? How many personnel demographics are in Colorado, people that have fled their countries in programs, taxpayer assistance? I'm talking the ones that applies to, they have a anti-American Black hatred, but got the nerve to talk about American Blacks, but fled from their countries. That how many of them are getting food stamps that they're in Colorado, the ones that applies to? How many numbers of Hispanicism, right, in Colorado, they got their hands out? How many numbers of certain types of Asianness, the ones that applies to? Certain section, right? You gonna tell them, get your hand out. Now, there probably not gonna be a lot of them in general up in Colorado. Probably not a lot of them per se. That's probably not going to be a food stamp per se. So how other non-Blacks are getting food stamps, won't they told in Colorado, hey man, again, stop asking for handouts, stop begging. You're in a two-family household? Why are you getting food stamps? Because primarily, if it's a Black neighborhood, Black family, they don't want Black American women to be together. with Black American males, they'd be like, nope, nope. Oh, you get some of this resources, but you can't have that Black American man in there, right? You see how the game goes. Now, this don't apply to various other cultures' backgrounds like that. Not the level they do Black Americans like that. See, they want to sit there telling other cultures, women, generations ago, hey, we get some food stamps or welfare, right? But at the same time, you can't have no males in there. They won't tell them like that. Huh? I don't want to play this no more right here. I don't play that no more. Colorado. Give me a second here, because there's a couple of more I want to play. I've got to pull it up, and I will. Give me a second. I need to close out a few more things first. Let me close out a couple of ones I had up for a second. So before I add in some other stuff. But hold on for a second. Let me give me one moment here. Okay, I played 3 of those states. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Give me 1 second. That's one. I'm not gonna play that one. Okay, I'm gonna play this one. That's one of them. Give me 1 second to make sure this comes up first. And that's one of them. I'm gonna play in a second. Give me 1 second. I'm just kind of adding stuff right here. This is 2. Hold on. 1. 1 second here. All right. So right here, 31 and Oregon. Okay. Okay. And let me add one more here, or 2 more maybe on that. Oregon, Trump. Okay, and I think that's about it right there. Okay. Let's make sure it comes up first in my background. Okay, here we go. So make sure here that's set here. And I'll give one. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. So, okay, give me one moment. Okay, so let me sit there and share my screen again on this. So which one I want to play here? Give me one moment. Here, let me play this one. Okay, I hear him.
Hi from Washington. I'm Scott McFarland in for Major Garrett. Welcome to the Takeout and welcome to the best of both worlds. It's Friday and it's Halloween. We have the entire weekend to steadily embezzle all of the children's candy. It's a responsibility we share. Except amid the joy, the government shutdown out over everything as this prolonged seemingly with kids who are wearing the costumes. And decision late today ruled the Trump administration must, while a judge's decision late today ruled the Trump administration must continue funding SNAP, it's still unclear whether that means millions of Americans will get their food or if this is just the beginning of another long legal battle. CBS News has been in communities big and small nationwide this week, hearing from the families who are fearful of what happens next.
We're about to see a lot of hungry children be hungry.
And you see already who did they sit there and show on this situation? A Black American woman. Unless she's a Black adjacent Fleer, right? Cosplaying one. Well, let's just go right now, Black American. Let's just say that for right now. Who they sit there and show? Her, this one. See how the game goes, but again, collectively, again, the number one people who are the recipients of food stamps is numbers of women within the Supremacist culture. You see how the game goes, right?
And that's what bothers me.
For me, having food stamp because I work is depending on your income. I work food stamp because for me, having food stamp because I work is depending on your income. So affecting me, of course, because grocery is kind of high now.
And here's the thing about it. Listen to, and see, this is a pseudo cosplaying Black American. Listen to the accent back there he had. Listen to the accent. He's not Black American. Right? So this is an immigration cosplaying black skinned one. Right? And the thing about it is, again, you ain't gonna have people call him, you still are lazy. Well, you say you're working, well, go find another job. What you doing, man? You fled from whatever country you came from, right? Got it from people that look like you. Why couldn't you be successful like some of the other people in your other country? Yes, there are the other people that are living in extreme poverty or tribalism, etc. like that. Well, so what? You should have stayed in your own original country and sit there because you ran from people that look like you. Nope, he's not being told that. See how the game goes, right? See how the game goes.
It's kind of high now.
I feel very worried because I don't know if I'm gonna get the help for my kids, and it's something that everyone needs.
Hold on, let's go back.
And it's something that my kids, and it's something that everyone is very worried because I don't know.
Well, now, if this is white Hispanicism or Caucasian woman or she's Caucasian, anyway, whatever. She's not black American, obviously. Where's the male at? See how that goes, right? Is he at home? Is he at work? But she's still able to get food stamps? When you look at her, does it look like she's missing a lot of meals? Huh? Is she been told she's lazy? And you see, I despise when people sit there and they portray emotionalism, infantile tactics. I despise people like that. But it's understandable why they're doing that. Because they know within Americanism, it's not that difficult to pull people's strings emotionally. Now, if you're talking about, again, predominant Black Americans, that if they're receiving food stamps, especially Black women, then there's no emotional response relating to humanity. It's more outrage, emotionalism, outrage, right? More of, oh my goodness, Black American women, won't they just get a job? Why are they always complaining? But when it's white Hispanic women, something similar to this woman, or she's Caucasian, but she has a maybe Hispanic boyfriend or husband, whatever she is, right? She has a very ambiguous non-melanation look about her, so she can probably go either way. White Hispanic, or maybe she's Caucasian, but got her Hispanic boyfriend or husband, whatever it is. Utilizing the optics of the two kids right there, right? See how the game goes. I despise when people do stuff like this, right? Tell her, get a job. You got a job, get another job. Get your hands out, you're damn lazy. Nope, she's not gonna be told nothing like that.
If I'm gonna get the help for my kids, and it's something that everyone needs.
There are some states that are trying to fill the gap, even restaurant owners trying to assist in keeping up with people's needs.
So anyone that needs them, we're giving them out, no questions asked at the end of the day. They don't have to show us or prove anything to us. They can just come grab their bagels.
And we went 4 or 5.
Wait a minute. Now, how many border illegal immigrants are going to show up? How many of the immigration persons are going to show up, right? Now, again, if this is predominantly Black American women, Black American males, they'd be like, well, see how this game goes, right?
Anything to us, they can just come grab their bagels.
And we went 4 or 5 years without making a penny. And we're getting better at our craft. We're on a slow uptick, and like I said, with that blessing, I think I should help others whenever I can.
Lots of people that are in need, so we're lining up to get them help, and then we have multiple ways we can help them.
It's really good to hear about that charity, but this is real fear on a night that's supposed to be about fake celebratory Halloween spookiness.
Look at his little disgusting smile. He got his little pink, little tone. What they do we talk about? Yes, a little light blue in there. Oh, that just happens to be anything. Because they most likely don't understand. This is probably most likely because look at his little handkerchief. That's pink. And most likely this is saying, hey, breast cancer awareness, because you got a lot of silly ass damn gullible males that don't understand why you only wearing pink. Only. Now, I'm not talking about the fashion. I'm not talking about that. Unfortunately, feminism, pro-women organizations, pro other entities that are making a gold mine on sitting there talking about breast cancer awareness, but they're minimizing males that get males that get breast cancer, right? And these type of silly ass males, like you see a lot of times, that are sitting there talking about pro-women issues, and they're sitting there neglecting their own male issues, that many of these women don't give a damn about men issues. Now, you ask this person something like that, hey man, what do you know about, what is the number one, the common cancer overall for males as well, right? Prostate cancer. So where's your light blue ribbon, man, for prostate cancer awareness? Oh, I didn't know that. I'm talking, man. See this game, man. Disgusting ass fake smile on that. Boy, these people, boy, I'm telling you, man, they despise this type of illogicalness, right? Won't he talk about the number one women again that receive the most food stamps and welfare? Women within the Supremacist culture, because he's not, because he's a coward. He's coward type males, right? They're talking about pro-womenism and women issues, and they won't talk about the need to talk about men's issues, right? Talk about, well, we know it's numbers of women that can also commit domestic violence quite a lot. We know it's quite a number of numbers of people within certain parts of Supremacist culture who commit the most criminalities. See, they ain't gonna talk about that, right? Disgusting, right? Let me sit there and share my screen. I got one or two more videos, and I think we'll call it a day on that. Hold on, what's this right here? I might even go. Let me see. Hold on, what's this? Shut down there. No, I played that already. Which one is this one? Okay.
2 federal judges have ruled the government must continue to fund SNAP. The federal food assistance program was set to be frozen tomorrow as the government shutdown stretches into November. But more than 24 Democratic-led states sued the Trump administration over suspending benefits. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins us now to discuss. So, Jessica, these judges say the federal government needs to use contingency funds to keep SNAP up and running. Can you break that down for us?
Well, one thing is tell them, get another job. Stop asking for handouts. What's wrong with you? Stop staying home watching soap operas. Right? Well, there's some males out there to get on food stamps. Well, tell them to get different, better jobs. Get 2 jobs. Well, they got 2 jobs. Get 3 jobs then. Nope. Because the primary personnel who receive the most food stamps is numbers of personnel within the Supremacist culture. So now it's about humanity. But again, they're not talking about the giraffe that is sitting on their car, the millions of border break illegal immigrants, and millions of immigration personnel that are getting food stamps. They're not talking about them. So when they talk about 40-some million, they just trying to make a very genericality conversation. And personnel of that type of disgusting type of switchery can go to Hades. Because some of them know what they're doing, and many others, they're just regurgitating. And they can go to Hades too. Because again, millions of these people that are getting food stamps are also border breaking illegal immigrants. You got numbers of millions of high numbers of women that are border breaking illegal immigrant women that have been going to these places to get those food stamp offers, right? Over however many years. No citizenship is required to get food stamps. So then these border breaking illegal immigrant women, know these immigration type women, right? The ones it applies to, the ones that get on these little programs because they fled as well for whatever country from people that look like them. They're sitting back and sit there and enjoying and getting these freebies off of what Black American people have to sit there and work and toiled to build up America to still not be treated as Americans. You know, American blacks have their own unique culture. I'm not talking about some governments and some naive ones that still don't get it, right? But black Americans help build this country more than anybody else, besides certain personnel within Paname's culture. But food stamps has collectively, for generations, have been the main recipients of by people within the Paname's culture. So the game goes. When food stamp program was initiated in the late 1930s, I think it was somewhere in New York. One of the first person I think it was Mabel McFinnan or Finnan, wherever she was. But then some other personnel said it was a guy named, I think, Roston, Thayton, or whatever his name was, something to that effect. Right? Those still two people are still Caucasian personnel. That's still some of the main personnel that received and used food stamps back in the late 1930s. Because in the late 1930s, what was going on to black Americans, predominantly black Americans by the millions, were in formal segregation. I want you to understand that today is November the 1st, 2025 now. So 100 years ago was 1925. So that had been before the Great Depression. So 100 years ago, black Americans are still in perpetualness of segregation by the millions. Before there was even a smackling of personnel within various parts of Africa, before there was a smackling of a few percentage points, don't even make over 3 percentage points in the first place, from various parts of the Caribbean islands and 100 years ago, right? There was no such thing as out of control border break illegal immigrant personnel conversation. There was no gigantic amount of immigrationist personnel overall like that 100 years ago in general, right? And when the food stamp program was initiated late 1930s, what was going on late 1930s, people? Formal segregation of black Americans. That was less than 100 years ago. And you got people that keep trying to fool black Americans by the millions. They do a good, they succeed at that with very few exceptions of black Americans who have come to this game. It's like less than 100 years ago, black Americans were going through more black pain or different type of black pain in former segregation. In 1930, which was been after World War I, which black American men were in segregated units in World War I. In late 1930s, that would have been after World War I. Black Americans were still in segregation. The military was segregated, people. In late 1930s, the military was still segregated. 1941, 1945, World War II, black American people were in formal segregation. The military was segregated. But you still have how many people within Paname's culture was getting food stamps more than black Americans? You see how this game goes.
Absolutely. There was a question as to whether or not the federal government was mandated based on the terms of the statute to continue to provide these SNAP benefits, even though we are in a government shutdown and no new budget has been passed. We now have two different district court judges looking at the statutes and saying that they believe the fact that there are contingency funds there and looking at, again, the language.
It's estimated 42 million people, $187 average monthly benefit. Go to hell. This is an outright little white damn lie. You are not going to have 42 freaking million people overall getting a small amount of $187 freaking dollars a month, especially border break illegal immigrants. And you understand, they're not breaking down 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. Because averaging, especially with the advanced Hispanicism, they're not having 1 kid, people, 2 kids and getting food stamps. They're having an averaging of 3 minimum. And they're not receiving $187 freaking dollars, people. Many of them are getting several hundreds of dollars. Numbers of them are getting $1,000 some dollars plus of food stamps. Because how many of them stand in multi-family places? How many of immigration personnel that fled got in programs, right? Benefiting them, right? benefiting off what numbers of Black American blacks have built this country upon, but can't get no beneficial resources like these other people are getting because there's an agenda to that. So how many numbers of immigration personnel are getting sit there many hundreds of dollars of food stamps, $1,000+ of food stamps? Oh, there's quite a number of them. So this little rinky-dink ass number of 187 average is a damn lie. Because again, how many within that 42 million are border breaker legal immigrant personnel? Man, I don't want to play this no more. Because I really am getting tired. I'm getting tired of this. Because it's like, man, because it's so obviously to see through this stuff. Did I have one more video? I don't know if I have one more video. Let me see. What is this? Oh, okay. This is the last thing I'm going to show because I'm getting tired of this. Because I get tired again when these little infantile tactics continue to be played, especially when these little projection, manipulation tactics, little white lies, demonicism situations are portrayed, right? When it's minimizing the person who received the most food stamps are predominantly culture of women and certain numbers of males and numbers of border breaker illegal immigrants, numbers of border breaker illegal immigrant women who they try to have them project like a little pauper look type people. Have you noticed? You don't see a Europeanish Hispanicism by the millions coming across that border like that. No, those are the pauper looking ones that they're allowed to come across the damn border. Notice how, anyway, and how many numbers again, border breaker illegal immigrants are numbers of personnel from various parts of Africa. How many of the ones that come from certain parts of the Caribbean? I'm talking about the ones it applies to. Ones that come from certain parts of Europe. Certain ones that come from Asia, the ones it applies to. Where's the outrageous numbers of them that are getting food stamps? You see how this game goes. But they just generically tell you, well, 40-something million people on food stamps. Go to hell. That little ass white lie. Because they ain't going to put no context to it. So SNAP benefits won't go out November 1st, 2025. The well has went dry, USDA says. The 42 million Americans here we go again, starting off with little white lies. Demonic insinuation lies. 42 million Americans who rely on Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, will go without their benefits come November 1st, 2025 because of the government shutdown, according to the news statement from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This bull half-ass white lie. Who are the 42 million Americans they talking about? So what they're saying, see, you watch a little sneaky-ass little silly little tactic type people. 42 million is not talking about American citizens who's been on here for generations, people. This 42 million people, this is also within the context of border breaking numbers of illegal immigrants, numbers of immigration type personnel that have fled and all have other programs that they benefit off taxpayers and getting these programs, getting these driver's license, getting these getting these work permits and stuff like that. But they couldn't do that in their own countries, right? Because they didn't stand out from other people who look like them in all other countries, right? So how many fled? And I'm not talking about the very small exceptions of really good ones that are over in America. That's like, hey, you know what? We don't have anti-American black hatred. We understand that a lot of things we're allowed to get because of what black American people continue going through. No, we don't like that. It's like, fine, you don't like it. Won't you tell the politicians out there to stop, to sit there and get anti-hate crime for black Americans? Won't you sit there and tell people, won't you demand or talk to the politicians and say, hey, you know, we think that black Americans should get reparations, because you're not going to do it. But you want to benefit off black Americans. And you get these resources for free that you can't get in your own freaking countries. Now, you know who they are. And that's some coward ass stuff. You benefit off for black American people who have built this foundation in this country, who are still have to continue to try to prove them freaking selves, because they know it's not enough black Americans to say, hold the hell up. Enough is enough. I don't know what these people think they're doing in certain political figures, certain situation, numbers of organizations. I don't know who the hell they think they are. But enough of this scapegoating of Black Americans. They know it's not enough Black Americans that are tired of that, because too many other Black Americans modern day are more reactionary, right? More reactionary. And this is why in the political scene, they're putting more Black adjacent cosplaying tethers inside positions, and they're cosplay Black, especially say if you know their name has somewhat of certain types of Black names, certain types. And they may not have an accent, so sometimes it may be hard to tell that this is a tether, runner, fleer, right? But the more they start talking, you can tell, oh, this is a fleer, this is a tether, this is the anti-American Black one, that they fled from their country, their person's parents fled from their damn countries, right? Because they didn't stand out from other people that look like them in all other countries. And how many other people from their person's original country didn't give a damn about them either, right? Be it certain parts of Africa, be it certain parts of the Caribbean, right? There are certain people that fled from Europe, right? There's no pan-European love like that, please. There's certainly no pan-Asian love, please. You still got a rift between certain numbers of Japanese and Chinese, right? You don't hear no various Koreans having love for China, jumping them down for Japanese. You don't know about from Sri Lanka, right? Indonesia jumping them down, showing, oh, we got to have pan-Asian love with Chinese people. You don't sit there and see pan-Asian love with Afghanistani people and Pakistani people. Nope. You see how this goes, right? But again, you got people that keep fooling millions of American Blacks every day and thinking that these various cultures are together like that. It's a small amount of Black Americans who know the game, people, right? So SNAP, also known as food stamps, is a federal program that provides low-income families monthly benefits to afford healthy food. You got to watch these damn people, these sneak-ass games. For what people consider, and again, see, you have to watch them. They're not breaking down between, hey, are you talking about one kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids? Somebody's has 3 or 4 kids, 5 kids. They're not getting $180. They say averaging $180 some freaking dollars a month. They're not getting $200. People, they're getting several $100 a month. And depending what place, wherever it is, however situation, however numbers, and then get 1,000 plus, 1,000 plus equivalent of food stamps. And how many of them stay in multi family places in a home or apartments, right? So you multiply that a couple of times, several times. They're doing pretty good getting food stamps with that kind of amount of money. So, you see they're not breaking it down. They're just saying 42 million Americans. No, what they're saying, 42 million in America. You got to watch these damn silly ass tactics, people, right? They keep talking low income. You're talking about somebody may have 3 or 4, say 4 family, 5 family household. What they make, what is required a minimum for them to sit there and get food stamps, that would be middle class in various other countries on this planet. But they'll say low income. Please. How many other border legal immigrants or immigration personnel have exemptionality to certain minimum requirements for food stamps to be eligible? So they ain't talking about that. I despise people that play little white lies and they tell half-ass, tell these little half-ass truth. And when you think about low income, they're just their clothes are raggedy, right? They're just ragged looking. No. How many numbers of women out there don't look raggedy from predominant cultures? They're not numbers of them don't look raggedy. The ones supplies to, and they're getting food stamps. How many numbers of women within predominant culture? You look at them in outside appearances, and they don't look but they're getting food stamps. Oh, they don't talk about that, right? In recent weeks, the USDA, which oversees the program, warned that SNAP money for November 2025 could be in jeopardy if the shutdown continues. But in a prominent news message on this website as of October 27, 2025, the USDA said no benefits would be issued on November 1st. The USDA said no benefits will be issued on November 1st, 2025. That is a bold-faced, half-white lie. You got 50 states, people, and however other territories that are getting food stamps. You think 42 million people on food stamps, including border breaker, illegal immigrant personnel, including numbers of immigration type personnel, and how many other mixed in there, and you think no women from within certain parts of Supremacist culture who are the main recipients of food stamps, none of them are going to get food stamps at all after November the 1st, 2025, which is today? You think 42 million Americans, a very disgusting little white lie switchery, because it's not 42 million Americans, right? Because again, what did I say? That's out of context. They're talking about 42 million people in America. You have to watch these little white slick ass, disgusting, demonic piece of shit ass lies, right? They're not talking about border breaker, illegal immigrants, immigration type personnel, etc. Right? So you have to watch this game on that. How many towns in America? How many towns, people in America, and sections of various cities in America were there predominance in those areas, those towns, majority of that town, or various sections of America? They ain't talking about Black Americans, by the way, because Black Americans are not the main recipients of food stamps. Fools, you want to play that tactic. So what about these many towns in the North, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Idaho, Oregon? Huh? What about Arizona, New Mexico, Kentucky? Huh? Tennessee? Huh? Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine? Huh? Majority non-Black. What about those places? Huh? What about those cities or towns or what in those places, or many places in those places, right, where quite a number of their population is dependent on food stamps? And you think that 42 million, anyway, this generic Americans, that you're not going to have still numbers of them that are not going to get food stamps? Please, if you believe that shit, then you can sit there and buy a piece of the damn moon. I don't want to read this no more. I get tired of this little silly tactic, man. I get tired of this little silly tactic. But it's understandable. It's an infantile tactic they're playing. Like this right here, before I close the show. This is some of the original food stamps. Back in the late 1930s, they were orange color. Many people have not heard of this right here, because numbers of people, they get into emotionality. Whatever the various parts of main media tells them, they'll jump up and be reactionary emotionalism. So they know quite a number within Americanism are not going to be really thinkers. Right? Say, wait a minute for a second. 40-something million people. Wait a minute, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. That don't sound right. They'd be like, wait a minute, 40-something million. And you're not talking about who are these 42 million, 41 million people that's getting supposedly food stamps. Who are you talking about? Because for so long, what has been the projectionality, neuroticness of a gigantic little white lies, should we say? Who are they projected to act like that? Who are the main recipients of food stamps and welfare? It has been shown what? Black American women. Right? That has been the outright gigantic little white lie irony of showcasing. And many coaches backgrounds sat right there with their little scary selves, the ones it applies to, and accepted that. The ones it applies to. Because a very small amount of these various coaches backgrounds who are decent, those are very small. Because the system, they make sure they vet who are allowed to come to America. and they know quite a number that are allowed to come to America, these various immigration groups and etc., that they got to sit there and look down upon American blacks, who many of them are lucky as hell that they even get a chance to even sit there and even see a real American black male or black woman. Many of them are not even worthy of sitting there being around American black, the ones supplies to. I'm not talking about the little silly ones, the gullible, naive type American blacks are acting silly. I'm not talking about them. See, they think that's what American blacks are. Those kind, right? That's not the majority of black Americans that act like this, but that's the one they portray. Like they show, oh my goodness, black American males are murderers, most people, and you got 99.899999% of black males that do not commit murder. You said that game goes, right? But they act like that black males commit the most murder. You said this game goes. The majority of black women are the ones who get food stamps. You said this game goes. And they know it's not enough black Americans to counter that. It's like right now, where's the MSNBC, CNN, etc.? Where's the black American equivalent? It's ridiculous. So they just want black Americans just to be buying consumerism, which is fine to a certain point. But while these decently well-off black Americans in certain celebrityism or certain sportsism, which I know they're not known to be intelligent or thinkers like that, but they got the money to back to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Black Americans, hey, you know, we're anyway. The whole point is you got radio stations out there for sale. You got Harvard TV stations out there for sale. There are blocks and blocks of land in America. Not talking about various parts of main places because that's kind of expensive, but many other places out here that American blacks, these well-off, can sit there and fund and buy blocks and blocks specifically for American blacks. Huh? Build up businesses left and right. Where are these type of people at? Nope. With the American blackism. Nope. Collectively. Nope. And the sister knows that. But the sister will sit there and give free resources, free loans forever, right? That they don't have to pay back like that. Immigration groups, wherever it is, with very few exceptions. Because how many of the immigration groups, they get free resources to open up businesses? How many of them get free college assistance, by the way? Oh, we don't talk about that. I mean, the list goes on. How many of them get free cars or free transportation versions to get around? That's taxpayers' money, but black Americans are told, y'all lazy, y'all this and all that. And the nerve of some black adjacent hodders that fled various parts of Africa, that fled various parts of beautiful parts of the Caribbean. I'm just saying. Ran from people that look like them and have the nerve to sit there, run to America and try to dig down upon American blacks. You don't get the hell out of here with that game. And there's not enough American blacks to call this bull crap out. Because how many of them sit there, these immigration type personnel from various parts of the beautiful Caribbean? They ain't got no gigantic freebies, welfare, food stamps to get like that in comparison to being in America. Damn sure in various parts of Africa, they ain't got the kind of equivalent of food stamps in various parts of Africa. Those places supplies to I'm talking about. That is gigantic amount of free resources that they get and come to America. The ones that supplies to. Because how many of them have to flee from the great continent of ancient Africa because they don't stand out among other black-skinned Africans, the ones supplies to, which is a whole game in itself. Be like, you got hundreds of tribes, hundreds of languages, but they tell black Americans, you just call yourself African. When you got many Africans only call themselves Africans. Get the hell out of here. Black Americans have their own unique culture. Black Americans are just that, Black Americans. Then you got some people that want to do all this other stuff, and they're Africans, and they know damn well with that naive ass that none of those Africans that will never accept black people, personnel that say you're Black American and its wonderful uniqueness, and say, well, I'm African. I'm gonna give you an example, and they will never be accepted in Africa. Right now, you got Black Americans right now in Africa. Right the freak now, how many over there still would never be accepted calling themselves African? You said it. You said that goal, right? But at the same time, how many of the Chinese, how many of them from India, and how many of the cultures from various parts of Europe are taking over various parts of Africa, and they ain't getting them, they ain't kicking them out like that at any kind of gigantic rate. He said it goes. But Black Americans are told, you know what, you're supposed to just be humanity. You're supposed to look at various other black-skinned people as your brothers and sisters. And Africa is made up of 50 plus countries, man. And you ain't gonna sit there and put them in a box. 50 plus countries have 50 different type of unique type thought patterns and different outlooks and different politicalness, different governments, and etc. But in Caribbean, you got however dozens of truly habitable islands in the Caribbean, I'm talking about the major ones. And you ain't gonna sit there and put them in some one unique box. You're not gonna tell somebody in Jamaica, hey, you know what? You're Caribbean like somebody in Trinidad and Tobago. You're not gonna tell somebody in Trinidad and Tobago, well, you're no different. You're no different than somebody in Barbados. You're not gonna tell somebody in Barbados you're no different than St. Kitts and Nevis, right? You're not gonna tell somebody you're no different than Antigua, right? You're still Caribbean. They be like, you don't tell us anything. We might be in Caribbean, but we have our own uniqueness. But again, Black Americans are told, well, they're supposed to just not have their own unique culture. You need to go to hell with that game. And they know it's not enough Black Americans to understand the games that's being played, but very few exceptions, just like this right here. The number one people who receive the most food stamps are numbers of women and certain males within a predominant culture. And also, millions who get SNAP or the EBT, millions of them are border breaker, legal immigrant, especially the type of women who are sitting there laughing with their little disgusting selves because they play these little disgusting tactics and they think they're smart and they're not. They're not. They're looked at as nothingness across that border. A lot of these pauper-looking immigration personnel in these other countries, they're looked at nothingness as in their other countries because they want to be fleeing. And even in various parts of Europe, those ain't the most smartest Europeans that are coming over here illegally. They ain't the most smartest ones because there's no pan-Europe love like that. And you see section out of Asianists. These ain't the most smartest ones coming over across those borders in different places. They ain't the smartest, most Asians. And I don't like it utilizing the word generically Asian because that's like it is. Generically Asian is made up of several dozen countries. But they love playing this little word terminology salad. They say Asian. Iranians are considered Asian. Oh, you think there's no, by the way, Iranians in America that's not receiving food stamps? Afghanistans are Asians. What, you think there's no Afghanistanis receiving food stamps? You think no Pakistanis not receiving food stamps? Oh, you best believe they are. You think there's a person from India? Damn sure none of them getting food stamps. I make that point. Those are considered Asians. Iran is an Asian, is considered Asian. Not just India. None of the people know those are Indian, Asian. Those are like no stereotypical. Those are like no Chinese personnel, right? Where we think is a certain type of look of Asianness. Nope. Indonesians, they're considered Asians. Certain types of Russian part are considered parts of Asia. You see how I'm going? See how these games, they don't expect the Black Americans to think critically and logically, with small exceptions. In Africa, what? You think there's not a lot of, even though the main 4 or 5 closing up, the main 4 or 5 groups in general from Africa, the ones supposed to have fled, with small exceptions, Nigerians. What? You think there's not no Nigerians that's not receiving food stamps? Huh? In America, you best believe they are. What? You think none of them have not had babies and they're still being sneaky as hell, the ones supposed to, right? And they pop out several babies, right? Unless it's a health situation, automatic citizenship for those kids. They're getting free food stamps, free Medicaid for those kids, free dinner for those kids, right? You think that there's Nigeria, Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Ghana, or the main five, or the main five. What, you think numbers of them are not getting fucking food stamps? Oh, quite a number of them getting food stamps. Right? But there's a certain number within those main 5 or 6 that have the audacity to try to look at Black Americans as lazy. The hell with the ones like that who try to play that tactic. Because that person that was lazy as hell, you fled. Because they could not sit there and make things happen in their own country. And then they don't like sitting there having the light showcase on their little lazy asses, the ones that applies to. Because if you all that, you won't have to be fleeing. Well, the government did that. Go to hell. Those people that look like you, go to hell. I despise when people try to play these little rock ass tactics. And again, I'm talking about some of the very small amount of decent ones from various other countries like that, and certain parts of the Caribbean, and etc. Because those are only small amount of good brothers and sisters that come from those places that are allowed to come to America, because collectively the majority will be ones that are anti-American Black, because many of them are jealous because they have to flee. But they still benefit off Black pain. And how many of them get food stamps as well? They don't get those kind of freebies in their own countries like that. And they surely are scared as hell to sit there and call out the people who get the most food stamps, what are personnel within the Predominant culture, because many of them look at numbers of people within various parts of Predominant culture as their gods. The game is strong. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show, because so many people, when you show the truth and reality, they do this. Uh-oh. Never mind, because sometimes this system acts silly. And I know it's going to do that, and it just did it again. I was about to play a video closing, and it short circuits. And it's no telling why on that. No telling why. Well, I know why. A lot of times, reality is not a good thing to show, right? When it's constructive, and he's showing some of the games. Oh, the system does not like that, because they want people. Give me a second. See, they know numbers of people do just like this. Give me a second. They know numbers of people do just like this.
Nothing. I know nothing. I know nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Nothing. I know nothing. Nothing. I know nothing. nothing.